Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing okay. Sorry, I'm running a little behind. I wasn't feeling too well a couple days ago. Mostly just some stomach issues. I don't have COVID-19 or anything like that. So hopefully none of you have it either, and that you're staying safe and healthy in this very unusual time. So a little behind here. Like I said, I'm going to try and upload more videos this week to catch us up a little bit. We also have the test two, which I'll open on Tuesday, which is tomorrow. If you see this, this will be Tuesday, April 7th, to stick with our schedule. But today, I want to talk about Expressionism. So, another one of our modern isms of the 20th century is sort of, in artistic circles, is known as the age of isms. There's lots of different isms. We talked about neoclassicism, we talked about impressionism, we had primitivism. So today we have expressionism, which is sometimes seen as the last gasp of romanticism. I have that as a quote in one of the slides here. So, background. It is an aesthetic that prompts, or at least not prompts, but suggests expression of emotion. Mostly emotions that are considered dark emotions. So fear, disgust, anger, things like this. So it has some roots in psychoanalysis, early 20th century, of the years of Sigmund Freud, and his the idea of psychoanalysis, breaking down the psyche into segments, mostly the ego, the id, and the superego. And so people are interested in sort of base desires and these sort of fear, these sort of intrinsic elements to personality. Um, Expressionism predated World War One, but it's amplified by World War One. Let me put it this way. So, World War One is a colossal, well, you could say mistake. It's a colossal error on the part of Europe, sometimes seen as the suicide of Europe, and it was fought over really stupid reasons. Most of which was nationalism or jingoism, the idea that another country is just worse than you are, they're inherently evil. So there, and we could do a whole talk on World War One, but it amplifies this kind of isolation, these fears of isolation and loneliness that modernism was really about. Modernism is about the modern mindset will be now you're isolated and you don't want to be. So think back to Romanticism. We're talking about Romanticism and how it was ideal to live in the country. It was ideal to be by yourself. It was ideal to be a free artist, be a free thinker. All these things, although there's some religiosity tied to this as well. The modern world you'll be alone, and like I said, you don't want to be alone. You'll be isolated. So the idea of Faust, who's a romantic figure, will now be seen as sort of something you want to avoid that kind of situation. So now you're going to die for your country and don't mean to. So you might have war on civilians. Again, not a new concept of the 20th century, but at least the idea of a technological war where you can have war on civilians. That's more manifest in World War II, perhaps, with Hiroshima, the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki with the atomic bomb. Now you're going to die for your country, and you're not even in the service. So these are modernistic fears. These are elements of the modern mindset. So expressionism it kind of plays a role here. Like I said, last gasp of romanticism. I had a professor kind of talk about it this way. It does focus upon emotion, but on the ugly and the horrific, not necessarily the beautiful and the serene. Famous paintings. I'll give you some paintings here. This is very famous. Edvard Munch, The Scream. Classic expressionist art. This is from 1893. This is long before World War One. But you get a good sense of what it's trying to illustrate here. So the idea of isolation, of fear. So you have this humanoid figure, screaming. And you got this stark use of color, oranges and blues, grays, kind of not mixing like an Impressionism where they'd mix together. If you remember the Claude Monet painting, um, here we have stark contrast. So you're supposed to feel uncomfortable looking at this. This is supposed to make you a little uneasy. This particular painting was used. I mean, you find these places in like Hot Topic. When I was in high school, this was like the sort of the Gen X kind of, rebel kind of. You hang this on your. They had posters of this. You hang on your wall. I don't know if you still see it in places like Hot Topic. I go to Hot Topic, but mostly for CDs or shirts or something. But you would find this in places like that. Spencer's Gifts. I remember there was a Spencer's Gifts at the mall where I'm from, Altoona, Pennsylvania, and you could buy this. I never had it, but yeah, it was sort of a rebel, rebellion. Now you're isolated; it's cool to do so. The Gen X kind of. I'm Gen X, so Gen X kind of mindset. So this is to incite, or sort of to express fear and disgust, or horror in particular. So the Scream. Another one here, Oscar Kokoschka, The Pietà. This is a cover for a program for a play. This is Oscar Kokoschka. The Pietà, very famous Renaissance style art, medieval art even. It's Virgin Mary with the dead Christ. He's just died on the cross, and he's taken down, and he's in her arms, and she's weeping. Very famous sculpture. This by Michelangelo in the Vatican. I've seen it. So it's popular in Renaissance time. So here we have an expressionist Pietà. So you've got death writ large, like the face. It looks like a skull-like. It's bent in this awkward way. You've got the body of Christ here all in red. So it's, the idea of decay and death and the stench of death. You kind of get a sense here. Again, that idea of disgust made manifest in this particular artwork. In music, we'll talk about some techniques. Like I said, ideologies can't necessarily be boiled down to techniques, but there are techniques that go along with them. In Expressionism, it is chromaticism, which might be hard to explain without the use of a piano, but you have all the black and white keys of a piano kind of used equally for the most part. So the music will move between keys very freely. Sometimes there's not much of a sense of key at all, which leads me to the second point here, atonality, which we're going to talk about with serialism. But atonality is the idea that all tone, well, the term means that no tone, there's no sense of a single tone being more important. So, all right, so if we're in a key of C major, most music you like is tonal, what we call tonal music, meaning that one pitch is I may have illustrated this in class if you remember this. One tone is more important than the others. It's, if in C major, this note C is more important. It's the home key. Atonality, in Schoenberg, actually preferred pantonality, the idea that they're all equal. All the chromatic tones are equal. Gives this sense of freedom. Some people say it's a little loose. Almost random. Now, it's not random. It's very controlled. To achieve atonality is somewhat difficult. You have to cycle through certain gestures to achieve this mindset. If you repeat a note almost, you'll run the risk of making it more important. So there are people who experiment with that, tonality within atonality. You'll get a sense of this listening to Pierrot Lunaire by Schoenberg. And we will talk about it in regards to serialism, which is a systematic technique that is intended to expand atonality into larger forms. So with early expressionist music, you've got the idea of free atonality. You're just kind of using the notes freely. There might be some phrases, there's a whole movement called set theory where you analyze the pitch classes and you'll repeat a certain kind of pitch class or pitch series within a short framework. It's proto-serialism. You could argue that, maybe. So we'll talk about atonality with regard to music. One piece I do want to mention that's, sort of late romantic. We talk about Strauss as a post-romantic. But Richard Strauss writes an expressionistic opera, the one-act drama Salome by the story is by Oscar Wilde. I'll talk about it here. Very, you can see here the picture, what you're in for. Okay, so the story might not be terribly familiar, but Salome um, is the daughter of Herodias, and her stepdad is King Herod from the Bible. In the book of Mark, she's not named. So what she's known for is she asks for the head of John the Baptist on a silver platter. Remember John the Baptist from the Bible? If you grew up a Christian, if you didn't grow up a Christian, he's one of the early. He baptized Jesus, and was one of the early. We usually associate him as an early Christian, although he would have been Jewish. Some kind of idea of baptizing people in a river. I'm from a sort of a Baptist background, an Anabaptist background, where you believe in adult baptism. So John the Baptist would, famously, if you believe the story, baptize Jesus. Um, but he's captured by Herod. Herod, who worries about an insurrection from the Jews, and that John the Baptist is seen as a political leader. So he's imprisoned in a cistern. It's like a well, and Salome lusts after him. So everybody in the story they're only motivated by base instinct. Salome included. She's a teenager. She lusts after John the Baptist, and he's the only one in the opera with any sense of like duty or sense of something beyond himself. And he talks about the coming of Christ, or the one who will, change the world. And where he's in the Sea of Galilee as he's speaking, as he's being imprisoned. And so all she does is lust after him, and then so he rejects her, and she's very hurt by this. And then, like as the story progresses, she does a strip tease for her stepdad, and it's just shown in opera. Some operas actually have her completely naked as a result of the strip tease. Others kind of cover her up. But and then for what she asked for, because of doing the striptease, she asked for his head, John the Baptist's head, on a silver platter. Then she proceeds to sort of make love to this head. It's very disgusting. She's got blood all over herself, and the head of John the Baptist here. That's Salome, as Herod looks on, in horror. And at the end, he orders her death. So the guards crush her under the weight of their shields. Strauss sets this to music. It's very Wagnerian. The score is quite chromatic. It's very Wagnerian, but it's the anti-Wagner Wagner. So whereas Wagner, if you think about the Ring cycle, having everybody having some sort of duty and something beyond themselves, like there's some sort of goal. Here, everybody's, like I said, motivated by base instinct. So most of the characters, maybe save for John the Baptist, are despicable. So, but the idea is that it's this really disgusting, horrific story, and it's played out in its very graphic manner. And it was a shocker. It was 1908. It was a shocker for its time. It's still performed. It's live in the Met. Did it 2008. Very very good production, starring Carita Matilla as Salome. Very well sung. I just watched it the other day. If you have Met, I think is doing. They're making some of their broadcasts free during the COVID-19 quarantine. So if you're interested in this kind of stuff, it might be something to check out. There are free versions on YouTube. I'll post the whole thing. It's about an hour and a half long, hour 40 minutes. I'll post the whole thing to our channel. So you can get a sense of it if you're interested in this kind of stuff. But so that's Richard Strauss. I'm running out of time for this part one, so this will be part one. I'll do part two here in a few minutes. Just stay tuned, and I'll see you in a few.